same time, so bear with me 1 second. Seems to be working. 3, 2, 1. That's live there too. Hello, Peter. Okay, that is working. Do I need to press a button here? Yes, I do. Hey, Peter. Hey, Peace Train. Cool, that is working. So I'm doing something slightly different. This is kind of a test stream. So I'll look up here. I'll pull up this chat. Boom, down there. Okay. What I'm doing is I'm live on 5 different places at the moment. So I'm live on TikTok, I'm live on YouTube, I'm live on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter all at the same time. I would be live on Twitch as well, but I don't think there's much reason to go there. I don't think there's much of a business audience, although Gary Vaynerchuk is there, so maybe I'll be going live on there as well. So hey, Danny, hi, Wrong Chick, Jobchev, Peace Train, Toby, Peter, Joseph. Yeah, lots of you. Oh, somebody sent me a message. So I'm now getting messages from both TikTok over here and also from YouTube, X, Instagram, and Facebook. So it's a lot of things. There's a couple of news items that came out since I did a live stream this morning, which I wanted to quickly talk about. Actually, some of them were from yesterday, but I think it's still worth talking about. The big one is we have a potential timeline for GPT-5. So right now, the most advanced model that OpenAI has is GPT-4. That's one you have to pay for. That's the best model. It's probably not the best total AI model out there. There are better ones. Mistral is probably better. Claude, I prefer Claude 3. But ChatGPT is probably the kind of workhorse that most people are using. It's about 80% of usage, was a stat I saw. So going from GPT-4 to GPT-5 is going to be huge. Earlier on in the week, Sam Altman, the head of OpenAI, was in a podcast with Lex Friedman, and he talked about the future of ChatGPT. He said, what we have right now, GPT-4 sucks compared to GPT-5, what they're working on or what they expect to be able to launch. He also said that they have no strict timeline, but now we've got a leak which is suggesting that we might have the release timeline is tentatively slated for mid-year, but could slip based on the progress and ongoing training and safety testing. That's fine. So basically, we think GPT-5 is on the way. It could be here this year. If it's slated for mid-year and it's going to be late, maybe it's going to be later in 2024, but we will have at some point this year GPT-5, which is obviously extremely exciting news. Again, what we have been using for the last year or so has been very primitive chatbots, very primitive AIs, and now we are getting better and better, and we are moving towards AGI, artificial general intelligence. When we get that, we don't know. That's nobody knows, because that's really hard to guess. It's hard to prognosticate, but we are moving in that direction quite quickly. The other big news was that Saudi Arabia are putting $40 billion into becoming the world leader in AI. So lots of oil countries like Norway, for example, are looking for ways to pivot out of oil. So I'm assuming Saudi Arabia is looking for something similar at the moment, because oil is a non-renewable resource. They are going to run out eventually. And right now, the economy is propped up entirely by oil. Norway, about 10 years ago, they got into tech. They got into game design, like video games in particular. And it looks like Saudi Arabia are looking towards AI as a potential for what will save them when the oil runs out. So here we are. It's called Vision 2030. It would make the Gulf state the world's largest investor in AI and help the kingdom realize its Vision 2030 agenda to diversify the economy away from oil. So they are looking for ways to move away from oil into AI or technology in general. So 40 billion is a lot. They are talking with Andreessen Horowitz, which is a massive, one of the biggest venture capital firms over in Silicon Valley. So, and I think, here we are. So Andreessen Horowitz might even set up a firm in Riyadh as well. So there's a lot of money that's going to be shifting around. We also heard, and I don't know if this is a reaction or just the same day, it happened at the same time. Joe Biden, sounds weird, doesn't it? Joe Biden has awarded Intel $20 billion for AI chips. So again, this is a massive amount of cash moving into AI. So the Biden administration has just announced it will provide Intel with a massive $20 billion package to boost the US semiconductor production, making it the largest government AI investment to date. So we've got Saudi Arabia on one side dropping 40 billion into AI, and we have Intel on the other. Sorry, we have the American government dropping 20 billion into Intel. This might also be a response to NVIDIA's chip that they talked about the other day. They've announced a chip. It's going to cost $30,000 to $40,000. It's the most advanced chip ever made, and it's especially for AI. So there's a lot of money moving into the space, which is obviously exciting, and it's going to speed up the development. So I am here to answer any questions about AI. Obviously, I talk about the news, but if you do have any questions, hi Alex, I keep freezing. I shouldn't be. I'm on decent internet. Hopefully I'm not freezing anymore. If you have any questions about business, if you have any questions about entrepreneurship, if you have any questions about AI, I want you to shoot them to me in the comments. That's what I'm here for. I'm also on YouTube. I'm also on, is this online? Yeah, I'm on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok right now. So I have a lot of screens. I was going to buy 7 phones and set them all up, but I found another way to do it, which is smarter, and it doesn't require me. Literally, I was looking at Android phones earlier today that were about $100 each, and I was going to buy 7 of them and have them facing me like a wall of telephones. But thankfully, I don't need to do that. I've worked out a different, clever way to do it. The freezing stopped. Fantastic, Peter. Best open source front end for displaying LLM front end. What do you mean specifically? Am I a millionaire? It depends. How are we measuring it? Like liquid cash? No, not at the moment. Not at all. I have been a millionaire with liquid cash before when I sold, well, I've sold 2 businesses before. When I sold a TV station, I was at that time. But right now, liquid cash, no, I'm not. It's all heavily invested in what we're building at the moment. How do you do that with the multiple broadcasting? It's hard for me to show you without ruining it all. But right now, I'm using something called Restream.io. So Restream is hooked to a webcam, which is mounted above my telephone. So when I'm looking here, I'm looking at TikTok. When I'm looking up here, slightly above, I've got a webcam mounted on top. That webcam is going into my laptop, which is connected to a service called Restream.io. It's $20 or $50 for the premium package, and it allows you to go to 5 or 8 different services at the same time, including Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, Kick, Instagram, X, LinkedIn. You can go to all different places all at the same time using Restream.io. So I'm testing it out today. I'm so happy it worked this way because I was going to buy 6 or 7 phones, and this is a much, much better way to do it. So Shiesty says, are you a millionaire? That's cool. I want to be like you. Who taught you about that hack? Do you mean making money or broadcasting at the same time? Because making money, I taught myself. I don't come from money in particular. Come from a fairly standard kind of lower middle class background in the UK. What has taught me to make money has been starting and failing in 30 different businesses. I actually listed them. I think it was last week in the newsletter. I put down a list of every single business I've started, starting from age 11 when I started selling pirate video games at school, and then selling them on Yahoo auctions. Like, this is way back in the day, and then got busted. I got sent a cease and desist letter telling me to stop selling illegal games. But I've always run my own businesses, and most of them failed. Most of them crashed out. So maybe out of the 30 plus that I've started, perhaps 3 or 4 have worked. Or have been pivoted into something else. So even this Prompt Entrepreneur that I'm running right now, which is teaching about education, earlier last year, 2023, it was a different newsletter. It was a newsletter all about taking business advice and crushing it up into a daily newsletter and releasing it for entrepreneurs and people who were interested in business. That didn't work. Nobody wanted that. So I pivoted it into Prompt Entrepreneur. So the way to get good at businesses is to start a lot of them and fail and learn from each failure and then just keep going. That's kind of the way to do it. Oh, Amy over here on Facebook So this is why the restreaming is really cool, because I am on 5 different channels. So I have questions from TikTok and I have questions from Facebook down here. So Amy says, thank you for sharing all of this with us. Learning about AI has gripped me, and I'm hoping to implement it into my current business as a service once I've grown my knowledge, which you're helping with so far. Amy, if you are watching still, or if you're watching in the recording, I have a newsletter. If you click in the top left, this isn't for you, TikTok, this is for people on Facebook. If you click in the top left or you scan that QR code, that will take you straight to my newsletter. If you are on TikTok, there is a link in my bio which takes you to everything. The top button in there is going to be my newsletter. The newsletter is totally free. It's got about 50,000 subscribers now, which is amazing. And I do a weekly deep dive into a particular topic. So this week, for example, I'm doing, what am I doing? Oh, what am I doing? I wrote them all earlier in the week, and it's been such a long week that I've forgotten already. This week I'm doing, okay, that's it. I'm showing you how you can do content marketing, especially as a business, by using questions and answers. So finding questions from potential customers and converting those questions into videos that you produce, and then converting the videos into SEO blog articles and using that to generate traffic for your business. So I've been covering that all that week. Every single day, the newsletter is about 1,000 words, but it's really chunky. It is not just another AI newsletter where they give you a bunch of ChatGPT prompts and that's it. It's much more in depth. It's much more teaching from the business point of view. And that's why I've been able to write books like this as well. So this book is actually number 2 in the UK for web marketing right now. Like, it's above Russell Brunson, which is mad, really cool. But you can see it's kind of got, you might not be able to see because it's flipped, but it has ChatGPT prompts, but it also has like in-depth guides about where you put everything and how ChatGPT and how AI fits into a business. So it's not just ChatGPT prompts, it's the business as well. Because I come from a business background. I've had the 30+ businesses. Most of them failed, as I mentioned. I have an MBA and I've taught business for a while. I've got about, I think on Udemy, I have about 30,000 students, which I need to check. I haven't checked it for a while. Alex says, can I get it on Audible? So I have looked at this. I wouldn't want to read it out myself because that would take forever, but I'm sure I could get an AI to do it. The problem is some of it is like ChatGPT prompts. It would have to read this prompt, which I don't know how good that would be in an Audible. And then the outputs from the prompt, it's not a good example, but the outputs from the prompt, there we go. So it's something like this table. So it shows you, okay, this is what ChatGPT will do for you when you put in that prompt using this business information. So stuff like that won't transfer into Audible very well. So I have thought about it, and people have asked multiple times, but I don't know how to deal with things like tables. If you have any ideas, like, do I just say, see the table in the book? If you have ideas how to deal with that on Audible, I'd love to know, because I really don't know. Do you think online sales is really only for cheap Chinese products directly from China? Do you mean like products? So there is it's one of the ways that is commonly taught about how to make money. Is one of the things that I've tried and failed to do as well. Basically, you can set up, it's really simple. You can set up a Shopify. You can connect it to a software called Oberlo, or I've never said it out loud, Oberlo, Oberlo, which then connects to AliExpress. And AliExpress is like the slimmed down version of Alibaba, where you can buy anything, like literally anything you can buy from Alibaba or AliExpress. So what a lot of people do is drop shipping, which is connecting a Shopify store directly to AliExpress, basically via Oberlo, and you can pull in the information, and then people will buy on a Shopify store. It will order from the Chinese manufacturer and then send it straight to them. It works. The lead time is huge because it takes weeks for it to be sent from China. So the step up from that is to find products that really work, buy them in bulk from Alibaba, not from AliExpress, but Alibaba. And then, so you'll have to buy 1,000, you'll have to buy 10,000, depending on the product, and then bring it to a warehouse either here in the UK or in the US or Europe, wherever your market is. That is more high risk because you need to hold inventory. but it's definitely a way you can do it. But the question here is, do you think online sales is really only for cheap Chinese products directly from China? No. So I actually know a few guys here in the UK who they help to export and sell British products to China. So they go the other way. So this is a really good counterexample here. They take high-end British products. It tends to be cosmetics and clothing. And they help Chinese influencers and Chinese companies to sell them on their version of TikTok, which is, well, TikTok is originally a Chinese company, but they sell it on their version of TikTok. So it can definitely work in the opposite direction. So from your country to China, or from your country to wherever, or from any country to any country. The reason why a lot of people start with China is because China does manufacture a huge amount of stuff. Simply put, it manufactures more than any other country. And there are things like the Canton Fair, which is in Guangdong, where you can go and you can visit the manufacturers, and it's a huge trade fair. Basically, China has set itself up so that it is the manufacturing capital of the world. Oh, somebody sent me a bear. Thank you. Cheers. Thank you for that. I will see who that is in a minute when I go down. So while you can buy product from anywhere and sell it anywhere, a lot of people do default to China just because it's so much cheaper. I would recommend you check out Alibaba and AliExpress. You can just go to the website and see the stuff on it, and you can often buy stuff that you would find here in the UK or America, but you can find it for pennies. And this is why people buy it from there. Let me check out the other. Can I get it on Audible? Who taught you that hack? Oh, here we go. Appreciate listening to how you made it with capital too. Do you mean businesses? Most of my businesses have been bootstrapped. So I've started them with nothing and built from there and reinvested the products. Some of my businesses, so like my first big one was a TV station in Vietnam that I co-founded. We had capital there. That's just a different way. I mean, you need to if you're starting a TV station. A lot of my online businesses, though, I start with nothing. So I follow a methodology called Lean Startup, where basically you start with the most basic version of your product or the most basic version of your service possible. You don't spend 6 months or a year developing it, but you create something very basic and you put it out into the market and you test whether people want it or not. If they want it, then you develop it more. So that means you do not need to invest huge amounts of time and money into it beforehand. You just build something basic, see if there's if there's interest and people start paying you for it, and then you reinvest that cash and you step it up step by step. So if you were starting a digital marketing agency, for example, you'd create a very basic service. You wouldn't create a product, but you'd create a service. You would see if people want that service, and then you'd reinvest the cash they give you into producing a software as a service, or creating a productized service, or even creating a product. But that comes later. What a lot of entrepreneurs do, or first-time entrepreneurs do, is they go into product development for years, and they're kind of like trying to refine and perfect their idea. But really what you need to do is get it out there, see if any customers actually want it, make cash from that, and then reinvest it. There's different ways of doing business. It depends what you're doing. If it's a physical business, you generally need capital, and that would have to come from friends and family or a bank loan or angel investors, which is why I prefer online business. I prefer information-based businesses because you do not need that startup capital. Is it a case of catching the right waves for business? No, I think you can make any, well, within reason. There are certain principles that are the same across all businesses, and once you kind of learn them, you can apply them in any space. It obviously helps if you're in an industry like AI right now, which is going in the right direction because there's a lot of interest. It's very easy. It's much easier to build a business there, but it doesn't mean it's impossible to build in others. But I think the reverse is also true, where you don't necessarily want to be chasing the newest thing. You do see people who will they'll do drop shipping followed by cryptocurrencies, followed by NFTs, followed by AI. They're just jumping from one to the next thing without anything really hitting. So it's easy to kind of be caught up and ride the wave too much as well. Oh, Here we go. Angelique. Hi, Angelique. You are my biggest fan. It says, so happy you're back live. Biggest fan here. You are literally, I think, my biggest fan. It has like a ranking. So here we go. WordPress 212. Is that for Obelo? I'm sure they do. So not a good starter for expensive products. Are you starting? Sorry, it's been covered. I'm not sure what these questions about. Here we go. We're just a warehouse for plastics, really. Yeah, I mean, that's capitalism. Yeah, Angelique, you have the #1 gifter badge, so you are literally the first one. Okay, so China sells cheap products and buys expensive quality products. Yeah, China has a lot of cash for this reason. They buy expensive quality products and real estate in particular. So I lived in China for 2 or 3 years, and I speak Mandarin Chinese as well. I'm actually, I can't show it to you, but I've got my 23andMe. I'm 4.6% Chinese. I'm sure you can tell. My great-great-great-grandfather was from Canton. The lean method is amazing. Thanks for sharing. If you are looking to learn more about the lean startup methodology, there's a book by a guy called Eric Ries. He's the guy who kind of, well, he literally wrote the book on it, but it was used before by companies like Toyota. They just had different names. So the Japanese used to use it back in the 80s, whereas the Americans were using a lot more kind of old-fashioned methods. The lean method is amazing. There we go. Do you think the market is too saturated for more AI entrepreneurs or learning courses? Not for quality ones. There's, I don't want to dunk on people, but there's a lot of bad AI stuff out there where you'll buy the course and it will literally just be a bunch of copy paste ChatGPT prompts. I think there's okay. AI entrepreneurship is between two different things. So you have on one side, you have AI, which is a new niche, and then you have on the other side, entrepreneurship. Not that many people are working in the space in between. I'm one of them. I can think of other people like Oli, who runs AI Solopreneur. He's in that space in between as well. I'm struggling to think of many more, though. Most people will focus just on AI, and it would be, hey, cool, look at this new image creator, or here are 150 prompts that you need, but they don't necessarily have the business experience to back it up. So they'll write something which is like, here are 150 prompts to help you create a sales page, but they haven't necessarily created sales pages and sold product before. So all they're doing is giving you a list of ChatGPT prompts where the prompts are like, act as a copywriter, write me a sales page. That's not very useful. It's being able to combine entrepreneurship and AI. What you're saying is that's the market of AI entrepreneurship. That's quite unique. There are not many people doing it. That's why this book in particular, I mean, it's 300 pages. It's not just, there's only maybe 30 ChatGPT prompts in here, and the rest of it is literally, this is what you need to be doing in order to build a newsletter. This is why you want to build a newsletter. This is why you should build an online course. This is where you can publish it. Like, it's the actual business stuff rather than just the AI. The AI helps you facilitate it, but it doesn't do the work for you. I think as long as there are many people creating lazy AI courses, which is promising too much, you know, $10,000 a month by using this ChatGPT prompt, as long as they're creating bad product, there's always going to be room for real educators who are coming in and combining entrepreneurship and AI, which is the space that I sit in. So Shona, when you say, do you think it's too saturated? Honestly, it's me, Oli, a guy called Dan Kulkov. He's big on X. Rob Lemon, he's good. But like, I'm struggling to even name 10 people who are in that intersection. So I think it's not oversaturated at the moment. Do I get the whole deal free? What are you looking for? I can send you stuff. Shoot me a DM. You have great content. Thank you. From Digital Marketing Skillionaire. If you were SAN AI automation business and wanted to sell to other small businesses, what would your first product would you sell? So this is creating AI automation for other people. I would not create a product. I would create a service first, which is going into other small businesses and trying to find processes that they do on a daily basis that are highly repetitive and helping them to automate them. There's a guy called Mike Cardona. Let me make sure I get that right, because it could be Cardano. No, that's not him. It is Cardano. I hope he's not watching. Mike Cardona. He is automation alchemist over on X, so he's big on Twitter. Check out the kind of stuff that he does. He really focuses on creating automations that businesses can use. If I was becoming an AI automation business, that's what I would do. I would do a service where I literally go in, I sit with them, I work out what their repetitive tasks are that are highly time consuming. But if there are kind of failures, it's not mission critical. So it's not things like publishing the annual report. That should not be automated to AI. It needs to be things like customer service, for example, or responding to emails. So you help them locate those particular issues, and then you help them automate them using basic tools like Zapier and make.com. And then if that's helpful for them, then you can then step up to the next level, which is building them actual applications, which is going to cost them thousands rather than hundreds, which is kind of lower level entry. That's what I'd start with, mainly because if you go into a small business, so we're talking a business with less than a few million turnover, if you go in and you're like, I can do some AI automation, it's going to cost you £20,000. That's going to be a hard sell. So I would go in with a small consultation at a few £100 an hour, £1,000 an hour, whatever it is. Maybe even less, it depends on your niche. I would help them solve some problems with AI first. I'd help them integrate Zapier and make.com, and then I would build up that relationship from there. Once you've done enough of that, you can either do more with them at a higher cost point because you've earned their trust, or you can go for bigger companies. So that's what I would do. Now I understand a little more about the Chinese. It's a language and cultural expression problem. It's a very different language. As somebody who speaks Chinese, it is very different. So Shona's going to slide into that space. AI entrepreneurship. Welcome. There's only 4 or 5 of us, so hi. You send more than enough. Just invested in DM course. Oh, okay. But you're my next investment in AI. Sounds good. Have you used MemGPT? I know it. I have not used it. Tell me what it is, and I'll maybe I'll go and check it out. Oh, Amy says, I'm part of the newsletter. I've bought your course and currently doing the 10 steps. Cool, Amy, I hope that's useful. For anyone who doesn't know, the 10-step course is in my free community. There's a course which I sign people up to as a bonus, where basically it's 10 days, 10 minutes per day, walking you through kind of the beginnings of AI entrepreneurship. And hopefully that's useful. Oh, sorry, Gloria White said, I would like to see the title of the book again. There we go. I'm sorry, it's backwards. I think it's backwards for you. I assume it is. It is Start a Business with ChatGPT by Kyle Barmer. Nice and basic. That's very search engine optimized. And Holistic Tech Wizard. Oh, that's Joshua. Hey, Joshua. It's saying do it live. I am doing it live. Oh, wow, this is cool. So as I mentioned earlier, I am live streaming on 5 different platforms. So right now I have 50 people down here and 15 people over here. So that's really cool. Oh, so MemGPT, unlimited memory. Yes, I've heard of this. No, I have used this. Sorry, I have used this. Yeah, the memory thing's amazing. It's the same with Gemini Pro. Sorry, it's not the same. It's even more than Gemini Pro, but Gemini Pro is Google's model, which has a context window of 1 million tokens. A token is, I don't want to oversimplify it, but it's roughly a word. It's not, I'm sure somebody will yell at me, but it's roughly about 1 word. So it's about 1 million words, which is a lot. So MemGPT, which has been mentioned, has an unlimited memory. So you can just put in as much information as you want. I wasn't particularly impressed with the kind of output, the actual model itself, but the fact that you can put in so much context is amazing. I haven't tried it for, gosh, a few months at least, so maybe it's better. I need to try it again. Pip install, yeah, I do remember it. Function calls. Would you prefer Leonardo over Midjourney? I prefer Midjourney personally. I know a lot of people love Leonardo, but Midjourney, I don't know why. I've always used it, and it's still kind of my jam. Leonardo, though, I have used it. I mean, tell me why. Do you prefer Leonardo? Oh, I'm sorry. The context for people who have no idea what I'm talking about is Midjourney is probably the most popular AI art creator. So you can give it a prompt like, city street at night, cyberpunk, and it will create that image for you. Leonardo is another version. Which is it free or is it just cheaper? Because I know it's used by a lot of people who don't want to pay for Midjourney. So Midjourney is free, but there are limitations, especially whenever they release a new model. The people who are on the free plan basically get ignored because the servers get too busy and they're like, no, you can't do it anymore. I think Leonardo is free, right? How are they making money? This is very like me. I'm wondering about the business. Yeah, maybe it's not free. Midjourney is only on Discord. It used to be. They have created a web interface. I use it on Discord, to be honest. Shona, I'm working on automations. Do you prefer Make or Zapier? I prefer Zapier. Make is, well, Zapier connects to absolutely everything. For people who don't know, Zapier is basically, it's like a Swiss Army knife. They might even use that slogan. It sits in between other pieces of software and it helps them to communicate. So for example, let's say you want, every time you receive an email, you want that email from a certain person to be logged in an Excel sheet, for example. You can't do that directly from Gmail, but using Zapier, you can have Zapier watch your Gmail, and whenever a certain email arrives from a certain person, it will say, okay, got that, grab it and take it and put it in the Google Sheet. So that's a very basic example, but you can create long workflows where it's step A, B, C, D, E, F, G, where things kind of cascade from one to another using Zapier. Make.com is a bit more complex. You can do more complex integrations of it. It doesn't have, or at least last time I checked, which was a month ago, it doesn't have as many integrations, so it can't talk to as many things. I think they're both good. Again, I would check out Mike Cardona's stuff for this because he is the wizard. Like, he's really good at this kind of stuff. So I use Zapier personally, or build custom apps for people. But Shona, I would use whatever you prefer. Zapier have just moved to a different pricing plan though. So before, Zapier used to be quite expensive. If you wanted the actual, the decent amount of usage, it was $100 a month, which for personal usage is like, it's quite a lot. It's fine if you're running a business, but it's quite pricey. What they're doing now is pay as you go. So you can do much smaller amounts and it doesn't charge you. Make is a lot cheaper. I think it is. It depends how many tasks you're running. I use them both is the answer, but I prefer Zapier personally. Think Tank Talk, you were here earlier this morning and I couldn't say your name either. Think Tank Talk, do you have any insight about AI in mental health care? So unfortunately, Pi just got, not shut down, it got purchased. So Pi, it was an AI that would talk to you as a therapist. I don't think it wasn't its main usage. Let me pull it up. Pi. So hi, I'm Pi. I'm your personal AI designed to be supportive, smart, and there for you anytime. So people using it as a therapist, whereas if you talk to ChatGPT, it will either refuse to talk to you about mental health issues, or it will tell you to go and seek help, which is fine. But Pi specifically was an AI created for people who need someone to talk to, and it was being deployed. So here we go. It's the first emotionally intelligent AI. So unfortunately, the head of Pi just got pulled over to Microsoft. So he's been offered a lot of money. He and a few of the top team members all left Pi and they've gone to Microsoft. So they basically ripped the heart out of Pi. Has Pi been purchased or? No, I think it still exists, but because the CEO. Okay, so the company who creates it is Inflection. Wow. Wow. So the maker, so Pi last year raised $1.3 billion, but now the CEO and the head team have left. So they've left, and it's going to collapse basically. That's rough. So coming to your question about mental health care, I think AI has massive potential here, especially for companionship, for loneliness, as a first line of defense for counseling, for therapy, which can then be connected to the wider healthcare system. We're already seeing lots of AI being used in coaching, so I think it would be a bit more of a stretch, and then we can have it also being used in therapy. Of course, there are massive safeguarding issues here. We don't just want to replace all therapists with AIs. It's probably not going to be enough, and sometimes people really need help. So there's going to be a fine line to be trod here. But I think it does have uses for kind of low-level first line of defense cases, definitely. Oh, it's being confirmed. Leonardo is not free. Okay, good. Workflow user friendly. Oh, sorry. Digital marketing skillionaire Mike Cardano. He's on X. If you look up Automation Alchemist, he'll show up. He's got a really good newsletter. Like my newsletter, he's one of the guys who writes too much, like really detailed guides. So it's worth looking at. Is OpenAI not just Microsoft now, basically? So it's confusing. Microsoft own 49% of OpenAI. OpenAI own ChatGPT, obviously. ChatGPT is built on Microsoft's servers and their supercomputers, the Azure. And then on top of ChatGPT is Microsoft Copilot. So Microsoft Copilot is built on ChatGPT. So you have this weird sandwich where you've got Microsoft as the infrastructure underneath, you have OpenAI and ChatGPT in the middle, and then at the top you have Copilot, which is Microsoft's AI. So it's all very incestuous, especially because Microsoft own 49%. So yes, they're pretty close together, but Microsoft still has its own AI, and they're still pushing other ventures as well. So I would say that OpenAI is one of their bets, but they're still running their own as well. Which project management software would you recommend? Asks Digital Marketing Skillionaire. So I've used everything under the sun. So Asana, Basecamp, Trello. God, I can't even think of them all. Or Monday.com. I quite like Monday. I now primarily use to-do lists, like basic ones, like Things, the app, and I use Trello boards, and that's kind of it. I found that this is personal to me. Sometimes I would just get too much into the project management and I wouldn't be doing the actual work. However, I'm in a good position because my business partner does a lot of the operational work. So I think he uses Trello primarily with the other team. But for me personally, if I would end up trying to automate things and trying to get too clever and trying to build the best system ever instead of actually doing the work. So I find that the best project management system for me personally is a very simple to-do list, and then my business partner telling me these are the things that need to get done this week, or these are the things that need to get done today. Otherwise, I go down a rabbit hole, unfortunately. Shona says this is live. Sorry, the live is awesome and helpful. Perry Mitchell uses Trello. Trello is great, honestly. If you need a simple Kanban board, a Kanban board is like, well, Trello basically. It's a bunch of columns, and you can drag cards from one column to the next. Trello, you can't go wrong with it. Yeah, a partner helps me prioritize. So I tend to do like the AI stuff, so working out integrations, building products, and the more creative stuff like going live and writing the books and writing the newsletters, whereas he does all of the other stuff that I don't want to do. So he does the finances, he does the VAT receipts, the accounting, he does comms with clients. Right now I'm going to go and be talking in Amsterdam in 2 weeks' time, talking about AI and giving a workshop. He's dealing with all the kind of back end of the flights and hotels and stuff like that, which allows me to focus on creating the workshop. So it's a really good combination. I was actually at a Stephen Bartlett talk on Monday, and Stephen Bartlett talked about this specifically. It's like, if you are looking for business partners, do not find people who are good at doing the same things as you, because it's useless. You need to find people with complementary skills. So they don't necessarily need to be your best friend. You don't have to match so much that you want to do everything together. In fact, you kind of want somebody who's a bit different from you. And he was an engineering by trade. And he worked for National Rail for years. So like, he has that engineering brain. It's a very different brain to me. Do I code? Yes, I do. But increasingly I use no code applications, primarily because I can build so quickly. I can build an MVP and get it launched. And then if it's something that we want to develop more, we'll just hire coders, honestly. We go to Upwork, or we have a few coders that we work with in Eastern Europe. And it's just so much easier because I don't have time to build the products now. What no-code apps? I use bubble.io. So bubble.io is a no-code app which allows you to basically drag and drop things around and then connect to ChatGPT if you need to. And you still need to be able to think through the logic of how the application works and what it needs to be doing, but that's kind of a high-level thinking. It doesn't require you to sit down and write the Python. You don't need to know. You don't need to build the SQL database. You don't need to do the heavy lifting. I imagine this is going to become even more the case when we have things like Devin moving forward. We still haven't seen it. We've only seen like tech demos, but Devin is basically an AI agent. So it will be able to take over your computer, take over your workspace, and do coding for you. Perry, 100%. It's still really useful to know about concepts from coding. It's really useful to know how things stack up and the structure of programming, not programming languages, the structure of apps, like how you need a data store and you need a front end and how you connect it all and stuff like that. That stuff is not going to stop being useful, but you don't necessarily need to do all the writing of the code yourself. You can either hire people, or you can use no-code apps like Bubble in order to connect things. Perry's saying he uses LLMs, so large language models, AIs, in order to write snippets. 100%. So whenever I do need a snippet of Python, for example, instead of sitting there and kind of starting it from scratch, I will go to either Copilot or sometimes ChatGPT and say, I need a piece of Python code that does such and such and such. This is where I'm going to be using it. It must not do this and this and that. And then it will be able to give me the first draft. I will then deploy that code snippet. It will not work. It never works first time, but that's fine, because that's the same as if you were coding it yourself. You kind of do a rough draft. You get a bunch of error messages from the compiler. You feed those error messages back to ChatGPT or to Copilot, and then you work from there. So it's a bit like if you were coding yourself, but it just makes that first step so much easier. Claude. I haven't tried Claude for coding. So Perry's saying Claude is the best. I use Claude primarily for creative writing, not creative writing, for writing. So I haven't tried it for coding. I will. And Perry's saying that's exactly his workflow for coding. I think it's a lot of coders' workflow now. A lot of coders will be using AIs to do that kind of rough first draft to get the basic things in shape. Try it out, it won't work, and then they, go from there. It's just a tool, and it's going to make coding a lot easier. Cool. So I am actually going to wrap it up because I need to eat some dinner, and then I'm meeting a friend. Variable note. Yeah. AI helps me keep fully functional inventory system, but the code is note organized. Yeah, it's great for coding because it's a computer. It knows. It's much more systematic in how it thinks than we are. I'm dreadful at keeping organized and variable names and stuff like that. So AIs are much better. Angelique says, please, Kyle, create an organizational playbook. I truly believe that's the key to starting anything. What do you mean by organizational playbook? Like how to... What do you mean by organizational in this case? Oh, like standard operating procedures, SOPs. Oh, ADHD. Okay, yeah, SOPs are handy. So with a lot of my playbooks, I do have checklists. They're not fully exhaustive SOPs, but they are checklists that allow you to walk through those steps. Too many ideas to manage. I know the feeling. I absolutely know the feeling. I'm building a course right now, which is about how to build a creator business. And that's going to have a lot more checklists. I'm making it extremely step by step because I know the exact number of steps. So hopefully that will be useful. Okay, I am going to hop off because my battery's running out. I've got all of these streams over here. Thank you for the 66 people over on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, and the several hundred of you who have been on Twitter, on TikTok. I'm doing everything at the same time. I'm going to do my live again tomorrow morning. This was mainly a test to see if I could do 5 streams at the same time, and I can. So that's exciting. Yeah, really cool. I'm going to hop off. Thank you, Angelique. Cheers, guys. Have a lovely evening.